Welcome to the new Lorkers Podcast, where we bring you the best updates and opinions in the New York City Lorcana community and highlight some of the best people Lorcana has to offer. I'm your co-host, Cole.
And I'm Austin.
And today we have a special guest and a friend of ours, Jammy, or as the Discord knows him, Jammy. For the last 6 sets, he's been our resident Red Steel player, or Rust as I like to call it. Jammy, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Happy to be here. Yeah, all rusty, all reliable. That's what I call it.
Rusty. Well, if you could tell us, first of all, just one, getting into Lorcana, what compelled you, and do you have a background in any other type of card games or just gaming in general?
Yeah, so Lorcana kind of got its hooks in me back when it came out in August. I just was, looking for some kind of a new hobby, entertainment. I had played Hearthstone a little bit before that. I played Magic like 25 years ago when I was in high school, just very casually. Yeah, those cards were torn up, rubber bands around them, no sleeves. It's a different era now.
You're raw dogging it on the cards?
Absolutely, 100%. That's what everybody else was doing. Didn't know what a sleeve was back then.
Yeah, I mean, they weren't going to be valuable cards anyways. It's not like you'd grade them.
I know. I mean, back then, when those first coming out, did people think, "Oh, I need to collect these because they'll be worth money one day"? Or it's probably not even a thing.
Kudos to you. Yeah, you see the world differently than I did.
I know. If only I could tell my 7-year-old self about Pokemon cards. Oof.
Yeah, I tell you, I had some of those too. Never played with them, but definitely beat them up. Just like showing them off to people, trading them to other kids.
I guess in terms of your background, did you have any background with like Disney in general, or something that drew you to a Disney specific card game?
Yeah, so I grew up with the Disney movies. I was of that age when they were coming out. Little Mermaid, Aladdin, Lion King. Those are the greats as far as I'm concerned. Those cards really, reference that heavily. I feel like a lot of the franchises are represented there. Aladdin, Lion King, I know, are getting like a lot of the lion's share of representation behind the Mickey and Friends crew. Just a casual Disney fan, not like a big Disney diehard.
Yeah, I feel like you and me are sort of in the same space where like we both grew up with Disney, but we're maybe not the biggest Disney fans necessarily. And I think that's a cool thing about the game. You have people that are into card games, you have people that are into Disney, you have both, and it sort of like creates an interesting dynamic that I really like. I still have yet to be to Magic Kingdom. I've been to all the other parks in Disney down there in Florida, but I haven't been to Magic Kingdom yet, so I'm hoping to go this year too.
You gotta go.
I know.
It's iconic.
The quintessential experience.
I am actually, and it was quite the magical experience. I haven't been in a long time, so I don't know if they've really upkept the whole experience of it all. But like when I was younger, that place, it was truly magic.
Yeah, unfortunately, I did not get the opportunity to go when I was younger. So sad to say. So we know your background in card games. I know you have a tarot background as well, Jimmy. I think you have a lot of different hands on cards, shall we say. So anything you want to share about that, or
hands touch a lot of cards. That's right. Yeah, that was something I was doing for a couple of years. I was doing it on TikTok daily, and started doing it for my own mental health and well-being, and got to a place where I wanted to build an audience and share it with people a little bit. I actually stopped doing it when TikTok got shut down for that one day. And I haven't touched it since. Yeah, there's been a lot of other things going on in life this year. So, it was kind of a test to see, was it okay to put it down? And so far I haven't missed it too much. So we'll see if it comes back, if it resurges. We'll see how my karma is this year. If I have a lot of bad luck, then maybe I'll pick it up again next year or something.
Well, sometimes a little escape from social media might be worth it. So good on you for being able to put the phone down.
By the way, did you want to share the TikTok with the people listening?
Sure. Yeah. You can find me at Pocket Tarot. I'm still there. I still check TikTok. I'm the only human. But I'm just not creating content right now. And yeah, maybe if there's a lot of interest, then we'll come back.
That's awesome. I know I still have yet to get my reading from you. So soon.
Good day. Overdue.
So I guess I'd like to know a little bit about like what drew you to like Rust specifically, because I know in the Lorcana community, especially in New York, you're I would say the best Rust player. There are a couple other people that play Rust as well in New York. They have a little bit different take on it. So what drew you to Rust, and what would you say is like the general plan when playing that deck for you?
Yeah, I love Rust. Just saying it first off, I think it evokes cool imagery. The color combination is cool too. It's black and red. It reminds me of a handful of fine cards. The cards themselves are also really strong. The steel cards, the seal package is super tight and tidy. You can take like 45 steel cards and kind of throw any of the other colors that you want in there for a little bit extra flavor. And I feel like that's where I was this set. I've been tinkering with Rust since set 1, when you could have a whole new world and be prepared in one deck. And those are 5 cost, 7 cost uninkable cards. And if you're running a lot of them, you're probably going to be breaking a lot, especially with very little draw in those colors. Set 7 didn't help that problem. So that's souring my relationship with Rust, I think, as we go into that set.
You just mentioned 2 of the hot cards in both the colors, and I don't see either one of them. I don't see a Be Prepared nor a Whole New World in this deck anymore.
Giving your opponent 7 cards is not what you want to do in the climates that I was finding myself in. It was just more of a liability than an asset. And so it got cut very low to the ground. I feel like we talked about draw, and I feel like that is the noted problem with these colors. You don't draw cards. You can filter some cards. You draw a card, discard a card. The same thing.
No.
I've tried control. Those are control cards, generally. But the strategy, yeah. So this is very low to the ground. You want to just play bodies and have them quest or gain more in some way, shape, or form, and then have your opponent challenge into you is the game plan generally, and then make them pay for it with those big bodies.
Totally. I see that you have the Flynn Sisu package, which, as someone who ran Ruby Amethyst, which also I lost to you a couple times this past set. I'm definitely on 4 of Flynn, but I see that you got 2 on Flynn. So clearly that is not like the game plan most of the time. Is that more of just like an accidental bonus when you're playing?
Yeah, so he had been a 4 of before, and I saw too much of him, frankly. A lot of people are, tailoring their decks because of him. They expect the Flynn line if playing Ruby. There is an element of surprise that comes with this deck. In tournaments, you can steal a few wins by, having a deck that doesn't tip the hand as to what the other color is. So that's interesting here. The Flynn Sisu Whole New World line was one that I got a lot of joy out of. Because then you are benefiting off those 7 cards in your opponent's hand. I have now cut all the Flynns, in fact. I've been finding success with that. He is just getting taken out way too easily.
Yeah, I definitely think going into the next set, he is a major tempo loss as someone who really relied on him in some of the longer matchups. It just doesn't make sense anymore on turn 2. You need something a little better tempoed. I see that you also have only 3 new cards from set 6. We've got Calhoun, the 1-drop Moana, and the John Silver, which I feel like I saw more and more at the end of set 6. So would you tell me about like what that added to this deck versus set 5?
Yeah, Moana is great. She's in there to quest, and then going along with that strategy, your opponent has to challenge it, and hopefully she trades up. If you do get a captain down, John Silver goes with her for that captain synergy. The hook is in there too. There's 2 hooks. I've actually changed it now to do 3 Moana. I think 3 of the Mickey, the one to resist 1 Mickey.
Sticky Mickey.
Sticky Mickey. 3 Moana, 3 Mickey, and 4 Robins. I got the Mind package, which is another one that you're not seeing fully represented here. There's only 2 Minds, there's 2 Happies, and then there's the 4 Docs. And I just wanted something that was cleaner. And John Silver can stop somebody from challenging into one of your characters, which a lot of times is really great. Stalls you a turn, gets you another quick, burst of lore, requesting out, and then Calhoun punishes your opponents when they go sideways.
Nice. As someone who's never played Rust, could you tell me a little bit about the mulligan strategy? And then what were the matchups that would keep you up at night?
Red-purple is a grind. But it's a fun grind. It feels fair. Yeah, the mulligan strategy. If you see a 1-drop, keep it, is my motto, because you don't want to see them later. You can ink it early. If you have too many of them, maybe not the best philosophy, but it works here.
You've got, I think it's 10 1-drops. You typically stay in that range, whichever deck that you're playing, just to ensure that you get that 1-drop or 2 1-drops in your opening hand. Is that, like, what's your like rule of thumb for the beginning of your curve, if you have one?
Yeah, 10 feels good. 10 to 12 is safe. I've done less. I've done 8. I've done 6. And those are really inconsistent if you're playing that deck a lot. you just will miss your 1-drop. And this deck cannot afford to miss the 1-drop, really. So I think you want to be in that 10 to 12 sweet spot. I'm not a numbers guy. I'm more of a feelings guy. And 10 feels right. 11 probably is mathematically a little more consistent.
We need a deck that vibes with the table.
This is all vibes.
Like this one vibes.
This conversation definitely came up last week when we were talking to Nick about Blurple, is the concept of maybe keeping more than one of the same card just so you can not see it later. And in his case, it was Tipo. If he sees double Tipo, he'll keep Tipo because he can Tipo the Tipo and not have to worry about drawing into it later. When I play, I'd like to hit 3 1-drops because I think that gives you a little bit more of a split strategy. You can go for the 3 1-drops if you want to go like a little aggressive early depending on what matchup you're against, but having the option to just start inking some of those 1-drops and then doing a curve is also like really nice.
Yeah, that's a great play. 1-drop turn 1, 2 1-drops turn 2 here, especially if you're going second. If you don't hit your Calhoun, then you can get a nice big strength off and get some of that tempo back.
It's matchup dependent, of course, but in general, like, did you prefer to go wide if you had the 2 1-drops, or would you rather just stick the Calhoun down?
Yeah, I think that comes with knowing what you're playing into. There are some cards that you do just want to take out quickly. I feel like if I'm playing against a purple deck, I know a Genie is going to be coming turn 4 probably. I want to be able to do 4 damage then. So I want 4 characters on the board on a turn. I mean, if you're going against like red blue or something, then you want to go as much lower as possible. You're going for that Flynn line for sure if it's in there still. So you're looking for those Smees if you can get them, Lawrence's, Sisus, anything like Quest or 2. You're trying to get that to stick and just go sideways. That one keeps me up at night and will continue to keep me up at night. I might even switch to it, but we'll see. Purple Steel's calling my name too.
Well, one other question that I had about this, is there any cards that you tried testing that aren't depicted here, or something that you tried, or maybe you still haven't tried yet but you want to try? And that can lead us into the next question of like, what set 7 cards you think would fit in this? But I'm just curious what you tried in set 6, because I see the John Silver. I was wondering, did you ever try the Shift John Silver? Was that like not good enough for the game plan? What's the story there?
Yeah, so I don't really play with proxies, and I only had one, so I never really got to try him out. Simple as that. I really liked him on paper. I liked him when he was revealed. He would be extremely expensive for this curve. This one maxes out at 5, so he's an 8 cost. You would get the shift. John Silver's a card that you could add more up to the 3/1. There's a deck that would include him. But yeah, this one wouldn't. For me, I mean, these are older cards, but like Dinner Bell is one that I feel like hasn't gotten the fair shake. That's a really interesting and good source of card draw.
Remind me what Dinner Bell does.
So it's a 4-cost item. You exert it and banish a character of yours, and then you can draw as many cards as damage was on that character.
Okay, so you're planning to challenge into something, hopefully banish that opposing character, and then banish your own character and take the draws? Okay.
It's just one of the few sources of draw in red, and it's hard to find a good use for it. It's a pretty bad card.
It feels like, as someone who's also played Magic, it's like red, even in Magic, has like bad draw spells, and if they are draw spells, it's like impulsive draw. So you're really giving up a lot in order to just see new answers. I don't feel like in the next set, which we're about to talk about, that they quite answered it, but they definitely made this deck seem more appealing to the masses, just because there's more options for the challenge and like benefit, but still I feel like it is on the back foot of draw power.
Yeah, and it will be for a long time, I think, sadly.
Yeah, well, let's talk about some of those set 7 options now. I mean, obviously, you're the expert here. Are there any cards you think are, at least fun to play with? What would you try? What wouldn't you try? And how do you think this deck will sort of be formed over time?
Yeah, no, I made a little list here. There's a few cards that really stand out for me. Cards that I would put into this deck today. Also, I want to call out Radigan, 5-cost uninkable Radigan, and all of the other Radigans out there, which I think are interesting. There's a deck for self-damaging characters that I think I'll talk about when we get to Double Trouble, because that's a card that I think can actually activate those characters of yours that rely on damage.
Interesting.
There's some synergy there.
Self-damaging? So like
Self-damaging.
the typical like Amber Ruby philosophy?
The Amber Ruby, yeah, without the heal, just with the damage. Just go, reap the benefits of those damaged characters. There's a new queen, a 2-cost queen. She's a 1/4, quests for 1, and she gains 3 strength when she's damaged. So you can get her to be potentially a 4/3 in an ideal world. She's a 2-drop.
So how are you self-damaging those? Are you doing that by challenging, or are you doing like let the storm rage on yourself?
So it's hard to do 1 damage on your character efficiently. But there is a new card in the set, Double Trouble, 2-cost, steel card. It's an action, not singable, sadly. But it does 1 damage to 2 chosen characters, and it can be your own characters. There's another card, Card Soldiers, that is a 1/2, but gains 2 strength when it's damaged. Those 2, plus a Double Trouble, means you have a 3/1 and a 4/3 on the board on turn 3. And you can play someone else too, play another Card Soldier. Why not? I don't think this is an archetype or a shell that's really going to take off, but it is an angle that Ruby can go. Yeah, we got to talk about the Dual Link. I think the Dual Link cards: Mulan, Denari. There's a new Li Shang, right? Yeah, and the Mushu, of course, the Mushu.
I feel like that Mushu has really gotten people looking at it, not just because it's actually a pretty well, respected card, but like people just want to see Mushu on a playing card now. So if they can put him on the field, I think people are now looking at the possibility of playing Red Steel just for the IP factor.
Yeah, it's the only place you can get Mushu, and he's great. The art is great. I love the card for the art. I hope to get the foils. I don't know if I'll play it. That deck is a different archetype. It's mid-range. It really is mid-range, and challenge matters. I think Red Blue is going to make it very hard to make challenging matter when they don't even play characters. Coil Medusa is going to be brutal, in my opinion, especially for a deck like this, where you need your characters to stick, and they're like 4 strength, 4, 5. The fact that it's inkable, though, is so crazy. It's the only, if I remember right, the only coil that is inkable of all the multicolored coils. That's crazy. And it just works perfectly.
Didn't they get something similar in Chromacons? Not that the Chromacons were like super playable, but I feel like their Chromacon was inkable and maybe a lot of the other ones were not. I could be wrong on that, but it's interesting that they keep doing that.
Something like that, yeah. They love their Sapphire over at Ravensburger, and I don't blame them. Ramp is fun. Yeah, as a Hearthstone player who played Druid, I enjoyed it. And yeah, it's just fun to have more ink and more resources, more options. Play bigger, better characters than your opponent. Which we can actually do with Steel now with this new Mickey Mouse, which is great. The legendary Mickey.
So for that card, what do you think is the best color pairing for that? Because I know there's a lot of cards that can really go with that game plan or maybe buff up that Mickey. But what do you think where do you think that's going to fit? I'm just curious.
So if I am going to play Ruby Steel this year, I think it's going to be a deck that builds around that Mickey. I think he is really at home there. I think you can get additional strength on that Mickey with Ruby. I think that plus the great high-end characters like Maleficent Dragon, like that John Silver. If you can get those out turn 3 or 4, I mean, good luck coming back. It feels like, hitting one of those things off of Mufasa. But you actually get to choose because you have a handful of cards, presumably. Yeah, I think that would be a very strong pairing. Maybe Blue Steel. Blue Steel feels pretty safe. You can ramp. You have a lot of great high-end characters there as well. Those are the 2 I would like to play with that Mickey with.
Yeah, and then with the red color pairing, you have 2 options to shift Mickey now. So if you're not getting the value you want off of it, you have alternate paths, which is pretty cool. So maybe going back to a whole new world. I'm not saying it's necessarily the way to go for the meta, but you always have that option as like, oh, now I'm slowing down your game plan by playing this Mickey, and if you don't have an answer to it and you haven't answered it, and I have no way to buff it, I can just shift Sing a Whole New World. So it's just cool they're opening up these different paths with that card. It's one of my favorite cards of this set for sure.
I love the art. I love the enchanted art. Yeah, Whole New World might be just the thing we need right now. Like, talked about the downside of giving your opponent fresh cards, but also throwing away the cards they had that they carefully chose over several turns with many visions and develops.
It's so tough now trying to think about giving more graveyard fodder when now they have two very powerful cards that rely on taking stuff back out of the graveyard. I had this conversation with somebody earlier today about the idea of like, do we have to start figuring out things to put them back into the deck rather than the graveyard, since now they have access with Maui and Tamatoa to just bring items and actions back? I don't think that's the answer, but it's this new kind of horizon that Lorcana has where, like, again, I'm going to go back to Magic, where there's so much like grave card shenanigans that you do in Magic that make it fun, and like there's graveyard hate because they have the exile where it just can't come back anymore, where Lorcana, it's like the best I could do is put it on the bottom of your deck and hope you never get there. So it's like hearing that whole new world is the answer is also like, now I'm giving them more options to fish for later. So I think it's going to end up coming back down to like timing that perfectly, if that's an option for you, to whole new world them. Is just like really understand, is it in their hand? Can you get it out? Are they going to get it back later? It just brings up all these new questions. I was going to switch the share screen real quick. I wanted to get your takes. Realize there are only 4 Ruby Steel dual ink cards. I didn't realize that. I felt like there was more, at least in my head, when I see them all next to each other. So I wanted to see if we could go through them real quick and see if any of them are like truly viable, or if it's only 2 of them and the other 2 are real stinkers. So the first one we have here is a Danahi, which we've only seen one Danahi so far in Shimmering Skies. It is a 3-cost 3/2 with Reckless and Resist 2. So again, pulling on something from both Ruby and Steel. Do we feel like this is a 3-cost slot? Is it worth it to keep something?
It's pretty high out of when I first saw it, but yeah, again, challenging. Is challenging going to matter? That's all this card can do. Can't quest,
Right.
can sing.
Okay, yeah, I could sing.
That's true.
Sing.
It can sing.
Strong
you can
singer.
What were you playing? Strength of a Raging Fire. But then we're replacing, so 3 costs, that's either Sisu, that's Lawrence, that's Pete, that's John Silver. Do we feel like this body is more important than one of the others?
Yeah, I like my characters to be able to quest or challenge, ideally. Quest first, and then challenge on top of that is great. And
Totally.
Then, yeah.
I could definitely see if we go back into a very hyper-aggressive meta, that this could really help you out, especially paired with some of the other Ruby Steel cards we'll get to in a second that reward you for those challenges. But yeah, I feel like outside of Ruby Sapphire, this could see some play. But if you're not challenging into things, it's not really getting any use for you.
I will say one of the things I'm messing around with right now is also a Damage Matters list, but it's a yellow-red list. And something that's actually interesting to me is these cards with resist, or ways to give resist, because you can then make benefit off of cards like Teeth, or in my case, something that I'd like to play is that Scar that quests for 3. I think that's pretty decent. It's just not, if you don't have anything on board, it kind of sucks. But for something like this, you play it, do no damage to your Danahi, and do 2 to something else, and then you have another body on board that quests for 3. Danahi can then challenge. Like it's an interesting way to play control for those early game aggro decks. So I kind of like it for that space, but I don't know how it'll shake out.
Yeah, it's a Teeth, no problem.
We've got another one here with Li Shang, another 3 cost. This one's uninkable. Flip it around. It's not a 3/2, it's a 2/3. It says this character can challenge ready characters. And while this character has damage, so going back to your Damage Matters, he gets 2 strength. So he becomes a 4/3 who can challenge ready characters, which sounds like a Daisy Duck response to me. So do we see challenging ready characters as something that helps us at all? Especially, I think we always have to go back in this upcoming set to Ruby Sapphire. And as you're saying, if they don't have things on board, then what are we really caring about to challenge? But it does give a pretty important effect here. I forgot it's this character only. I thought it was all characters, but this character can challenge ready characters.
Yeah, the Mulan's all characters, I think. So it goes thematically with this one. But yeah, this one's just him. And he's only doing 2. If he does damage somehow. He's hitting for a little more. It's uninkable. Only quest for 1. He's not great. He's he's in brawl territory too, which does not help his case. We'll say that with he's not getting brawl unless there's
that is true.
ice block.
Well, until the coil comes down.
Always respect the coil.
Always respect the coil. Well, let's speak of Mulan since you mentioned her. So we have a 7-cost Inkable, 5/6. We have another Mulan Shift. We have the Archer, but now we have the Imperial General. It's a 5/6 Floodborn Shift for 5 with Evasive, which is definitely super important knowing that the Shark is a 5 defense, and this is 5 strength. And Exceptional Leader says whenever this character challenges another character, your other characters gain. This character can challenge ready characters this turn. So it allows the other characters, but there are some hoops to jump through in order to kind of trigger that ability. It's not just off the bat. If this thing had Rush as well, that goes crazy. It's got, we're running out of room on the card itself if we had Rush on there. But it does quest for 2, so there's your questing ability that you want in there.
Yeah, it's like having Rush if you shift it, I guess. Really great shift target too in this set. The 1-cost 2/1 Mulan who filters your card, draw a card, discard a card, quest for 1. Yeah, it's a 1-cost card that you want to play. These colors are hurting for those cards in particular. So yeah, I might replace the Moana with her. If I were running this card as well, especially. Yeah, she's interesting. Does challenging matter is the question of this set. In a lot of matchups, yes, and most of the big meta share matchups, not really. They have strategies around it. It's all your characters, though. I mean, if you're all in on that strategy, there's a way to get value out of this card for sure. She can be a game winner if you get her at the right time. That strategy generally is worth investing in. It's fun. It's a lot of fun. I'll say that.
I feel as though, and maybe I'm wrong on this one, for shift cards, it is great to know that there's a 1-drop, but are we waiting 4 turns to do anything with that Mulan just so we can shift it? I feel like what was it? There was some shift card, maybe it was Clarabelle, that got a new shift target. So it's like, I think it's a 4-cost where it shifts for 5 on the next turn. And it's like, would we rather be seeing a 4-cost Mulan so that we can ensure that this comes down? We have that quote rush ability to be able to challenge the turn it comes down. Or is it good enough to say that we have a 1-drop that we play on turn 4 to enable the turn 5 Mulan shift? What are your thoughts on that shift ability?
Yeah, I mean, I think about Cinderella and Amber, 1 cost there, and you shift her on 5. Similar stats here and similar effect in that you're challenging those ready characters. If it's worth waiting for, if your deck is really invested in that strategy again, I think, yeah, you probably want to run. I mean, if they had another Cinderella, they'd probably run it if they could, if it was playable. But she's just so good. And if there was another Mulan that was similar, I think you would try to run that. There's a steel one too. There's a 3/6, I think. Mulan, yeah. It's just vanilla.
Yeah, we can't be running vanillas out here, especially after turn 1. Well, last but not least, we have our Mushu here, which I feel like is definitely the thing that is drawing the most people to these colors. So we have a 5-cost. Stats are 4/4, quest for 1, and intimidating and awe-inspiring. Whenever one of your characters challenges, they gain resist 2 during that challenge. And then Guardian of Lost Souls, during your turn, whenever one of your characters banishes another character in a challenge, gain 2 lore. So we see this Calhoun effect. I've seen it a couple times now, and now it essentially applies to any of your characters as long as one of your characters banishes the rival character. Is this of interest? Is this a good top-end 5-drop for you in a red steel deck?
That's the question. Yeah, do you have space for it? This is a build-around card for sure. And he's really cool. I mean, he's really well balanced too. His effects, both of them, are strong and synergized with each other. You want to play him with Calhoun and Robin Hood. I think those are the cards that make sense to go with him. Possibly, I guess, like a rush deck or something. But yeah, no, I think he's 5 cost is tough for me, at least with the strategy that I found worked for Ruby Steel, where you're not drawing a lot of cards, you're not inking a lot. It's really hard to get to 5 a lot of times. So it needs to be impactful when you get there. And this can make a big impact. I don't know that it is worth it, frankly, looking at it. But I love him. I want 4 foils. Wish there was enchanted.
I don't know that building around this is necessarily the best. However, going into a new set, it's always the aggro that sort of takes front and center at the beginning of the set. And I do think Red Steel has the potential to beat out aggro specifically because of this effect. And it also enables you to play some cool, fun cards that you never see. So one of the things is, I think there's a card, is it On Your Feet Now or something, that like readies all your characters and does like 1 damage to them. But if you've already challenged and given all your stuff resist, you're not taking any damage. You're just readying your characters and you can challenge again. So I think it's a like fun way to play like a mid-range challenge beat out aggro deck, but definitely like you're saying, like late game against Ruby Steel or Ruby Sapphire is not going to be the answer. I don't know that challenging is going to be really effective into that, but fun thing to try for sure.
Yeah, I definitely think this is ink in your Ruby Sapphire challenge or in your matchup.
Yeah, that's the best you're going to get out of him. He's a combo piece, and you need the other pieces to stick. Yeah, they're cleaning up your board.
So I come from Commander, especially for Magic, and I'm like, this feels like a Commander card. This feels like I've already set up an engine, and this is the final piece, and now I can go to work and do crazy things. But until Lorcana really becomes a multiplayer game, which I definitely see it coming down the road, I could see that definitely more becoming popular. I don't know if they'll build something like Commander around it, but I think you'll have 2 other opportunities to be challenging more often, and Ruby Steel could be a more favored color pairing for multiplayer play.
Definitely. Yeah. Be prepared in a whole new world. Mass disruption, mass chaos.
So you mentioned that you may not be as inspired by Rust necessarily this next set, and you kind of briefly talked about some things that are interesting to you. So what are some of the decks you plan on playing like early into the set, and what do you see you really sticking with next set?
Sure. Yeah. I'm torn between 2 sirens right now, red blue with coils, and if I get Tamatoa, then I'd play them. But I'm not banking on Tamatoa. I think it's strong enough with just the coils, frankly. There's a little more consistency. And then purple steel. Purple steel seems really fun. I like the aggro play style. That is so aggro. That Cobra is awesome. And purple steel is the only place you can go to get them. So really enticing. I like 3-cost steel Jafar too, who gives Challenger +2 to another character. Quest for 2. He's a 3/2. Great shift target. The Jafar decks are fun and they're pretty competitive. I don't think I would do a purple steel Jafar deck in a competition. But yeah, just a purple steel aggro build is really special to me. And the Natural Song is also really interesting, where you draw a card and gain 1 lore. 2 cost. Yeah. A lot of great aggro tools came out in this set for that.
So really quickly, going back to our Mickey conversation, purple steel is where I really see Mickey sticky Mickey, if you will. Just because you have that turn 3 play of the Jafar to buff it if you want to trade and then maybe potentially get a Jafar out cheated early, or you can shift the steel 5-cost Mickey to have another Whole New World Singer. So I really like that deck for that card, but that's just if you're playing that, might want to tinker with that. I think it's going to be good. So at least fun.
Sounds like fun. Mickey's galore. Yeah, purple steel is just so fun. Yeah, to play. Drawing cards is fun. I miss it from playing sets and sets of red steel.
That's my backbone, man. As long as it has purple in the combination, I feel like I'd be cool with playing it. So I definitely might be going more purple steel this set over Ruby Amethyst. I feel like Ruby Amethyst got abandoned, but it'll see its day. It'll either be burn or it'll be something else. But I definitely think I might be a similar color pairing to you, Jimmy, as long as you don't pull those crabs.
Yeah, no promises. I get them and I see them, I'm playing them. Or I'm selling them, honestly.
In our Discord, it looks like everybody's gunning for them. So you
I'm
can
not.
either.
I'm gonna sell them.
I know,
What-
especially right away, it might be the move.
I'm gonna be on either Amber Steel or a different style of playing red blue that I shared with Cole today that I think
Oh
will be
yes,
kind of fun.
Mm.
So it's
that looks
not
pretty fun.
gonna. Yeah, it looks really fun. There's not too many new cards in that list. I think it's already decent, but I think the unconventional tool really helps to get out some of the items a little earlier. So a little preview spoiler of what I'm going to be playing.
Alrighty.
Totally.
Is there a shoe in that deck?
2 unconventional tools.
Oh, no,
Like,
I was thinking Amber Steel for some reason.
oh no. Amber Steel.
Sorry.
I'm torn between a lot of ways to play it. I have something that's more of a princess style with Queen Sensor Core that I think is really fun. You have the slipper and and you have a lot of ways to cycle that slipper out of your hand. I'm still on wheel for Amber Steel, so I mean, there's a lot of ways to get that slipper out of your hand and just pop down the Cinderella for 3 lore. So I really like that concept, and just like having that item there getting you passive lore is always helpful against decks like red blue, because what are you going to do when they clear all your stuff? Like, you play one thing and they have to answer it, or you're getting 2 lore next turn is always like a good strategy. Or you play 2 things and they have to answer both, or you're getting 2 lore. Like, I feel like it's the only way to like play those really, really late game matchups.
Yeah.
I will
that.
be interested in seeing that slipper show up at some point, because I don't know if I quite believe in it, but I'm happy to see you playing 2 enchanteds in your deck.
Yes, I hope I open them.
The flavor is something else. I mean, I'll give them that.
They do
The
pretty
2
good
choose
on their
only.
flavor. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think that about wraps us up for today. So, Jimmy, thank you so much for joining us. And thank you for listening to our show. For more updates and opinions on the New York City Lorcana community, be sure to subscribe to this podcast and our YouTube page. Thanks so much, and see you next time.